Welcome to That's My Opinion Pod. I am your host, Pedro Iglesias, doing a solo episode this week. I feel like right now Bravo's really quiet, and although there's a lot to discuss right now with Jersey, I feel like I really want to bring guests on when we at least have more than 2 shows. So, hence the solo episode. And by the way, before I forget to mention, there's going to be no podcast next week because I will be traveling. So, 4th of July, need to have a little week off, but I'll obviously still be watching Bravo. And if anything really big happens, I'll make sure to cover it on the next podcast. And of course, I'll still be posting on Instagram. So you know where to find me. But we're going to start with Jersey because that was a good episode. The season's really picking up. Whether it's delivering what it should be delivering, I'm entertained. I'm not complaining, you know. Then we will go on to discuss Dubai. Very fun week. I'm liking the energy the ladies are bringing. I'm a fan of the dynamic that's going on. And what's most interesting is the fact that we know these dynamics switch and the tides turn. So I'm excited to watch that play out. Then I think I'm going to discuss a little bit of Below Deck Med. I'm really enjoying the season. Big fan of it so far. So we'll get into that a little bit. So without further ado, let's get into it. Jersey, Jersey, Jersey. Man, what an episode. I mean, that ending was everything. I feel like I saw online that Danielle got suspended. I wonder what that means for the upcoming episodes and what we're going to be watching, but it should be fun. One of the scenes I did really enjoy was Rachel Fuda and Marge. And before Marge gets there, Rachel is talking about her daughter's health issues and what her daughter has been going through, and then also begins to talk about her own. And, Rachel Fuda she's interesting housewife. I think she's getting a lot of hate because she's going up against Teresa, and we're like, she's a big dog, and you probably shouldn't be going for her the way that you have been. And I know her Watch What Happens Live episode was also like, girl, know your place. But I think if we take her out of that equation, I do think she's a really interesting housewife. And her daughters are so cute. They're so polite. I love children that are polite. Like, yes, her daughter is so, so cute. And I hope we get to see her grow up the way that we've seen, Teresa's daughters grow up on our screens. Like, that is one of the really fun aspects of watching Housewives. But I think her daughters are adorable. I love that she was being really honest about what they're going through and like the strength in which she talked about it. I really commend. Although there's nothing wrong with getting emotional and crying or anything like that, I do really, take my hat off to her and the way she was able to speak about everything going on with her daughter and her own health issues. And I thought it was really sweet for Marge to come in and bring her daughter gifts and just be really sweet and caring. And that's just like a good friend. I think that's what good friends do for each other. So I love that moment, and I loved their talk outside. It really brought a grounded energy to the episode. Although the episode really kicked off, and like you probably won't even remember that scene happened by the end of it. But still, like you go into the big fight feeling a bit more grounded in their friendships and who they are as people and what they're going through. And then Marge opening up about Joe's health issues, and just you can see how vulnerable she is and how sensitive she is right now after the loss of Jan. And that must be so scary. Like these life issues are really big. So yeah, I really do feel for Marge, and my heart goes out to her. I can't imagine what a difficult time this is. And I love that we saw these women bond and really support each other during this time, because sometimes it feels like this group of women on Jersey are just always attacking each other, always going after each other and each other's families and stuff. So, I don't know if this is called balance yet, but it was a nice moment and it was a rare moment. So I'll take it. Then we have the healing. We have the healing session where it's Dolores, Jennifer Aiden, and Teresa. What what a moment. Let me tell you. What a fucking moment when Dolores goes, and it's the thing is, I see myself in Dolores so much, where she was like, oh, I'm gonna go there. Now, before I was indifferent, I'm gonna fucking go there. She's a piece of shit. Like, I get it. I love it. So I found that really entertaining of Dolores being like, she's using you. She's using you. She has this book coming out and she knows how popular it's going to be if you guys are friends. And then fast forward to the part of the episode where Jackie literally tells Gia, people are loving me and your mom's friendship. Like, you guys need to come to my book signing or something along those lines. I was like, oh my God. Whoa, icky. But yeah, Dolores really tells us how she feels about Jackie, does not hold back in any way, shape, or form. And then Teresa shows her hand. I don't think anyone was shocked to see that's how Teresa feels. I think we all could have guessed. But I think we were all surprised that she said it out loud. I wish Jackie was on this week's episode of Watch What Happens Live because I want to see her reaction to it. I would have loved to see her try to double down on it because in the week before, Jackie was on Watch What Happens Live and Andy was like, I think you're going to be really surprised. And Andy asked a question being like, well, it was something along the lines of, do you think Teresa's using you to get to Marge and Melissa? And she was like, no, because I'm the one that approached Teresa for this friendship. And that's when Andy goes, I think you're going to be really surprised by something you hear. And Jackie totally freaks out and was like, whatever it is, like I've held myself in the way that whatever. She said something like doubling down on, she's not willing to let go of her friendship with Teresa. I'm intrigued to see what she thinks now because Teresa, not only in the scene, said, I'm using her to get to Marge. Like, I want her to bring down Marge. In her confessional, she was like, Karma's a bitch. Like, you think you're the smart one. You think you're the best in the room. Here we are. So I want to know what their friendship status currently is post that episode airing. Like, that's fun. And Teresa's just vicious. I don't know what the thing going on with Marge is. I mean, you have that scene then when it's Teresa and Gia and someone else in the kitchen discussing Margaret. And Gia said if she knew, I think talking about Jackie, if she knew the way she came for her family and XYZ, she would understand. And I know in the beginning of the season, Teresa said something along the lines of, there is a legal issue happening with Margaret that we're not allowed to talk about. And I'm counting down the days until they can because what the fuck is going on? Like, these women are really angry at each other. Like, this is no longer a silly housewife issue. Things have gotten deep. And the issue is, I don't think us as an audience really understand it. Like, yes, they hate each other, sure, whatever. But then you have Louis calling the son and doing XYZ, and it feels like there's something deeper, something dirtier happening. And I want to know what it is, okay? But I don't know if I'm sure we will one day, but I don't know if it's going to be by the end of the season. And we don't get a fucking reunion, so I guess we'll fucking never know. Oh, maybe it gets brought up in the finale? I don't know. Anyways, I guess we'll have to stay tuned on that one. And then we fast forward to Teresa's party. Tulum theme, baby. Live, laugh, love. The women look good. I enjoyed it. Then what I thought was interesting was the Dolores and Jackie issue. And Dolores made a very fucking good point. She hasn't reached out to me before this party. She hasn't texted me. She hasn't called me. And I am very much of the belief, if you actually care about that person, that night after filming, you call them and go, hey, off the record, like, let's talk about it. Not in front of cameras. Like, I care about you. I care about our friendship. And I want to prioritize it. We can do it again on camera. We can talk about, the situation. But I just want to connect with you off camera. That's what you do when you're really friends with someone. So Jackie, just waiting until the cameras were there, screams fake. Screams, I don't really care about you. and screams, I meant what I said. It just does. It really just does. And then, of course, you have Dolores talking about it and then being like, I want to avoid having a conversation with her. But then Jackie approaches her, and I think in that conversation, Jackie's biggest issue was that she refused to take responsibility. Like, she just refused to have a full-on apology of, I said what I said. I was angry. That's how I felt in the moment, but I didn't mean it. And I'm really sorry. And I'm sorry that it hurt you. And I want you to sit with that apology. Then maybe a week or two later, when you're talking, be like, by the way, I hope you accepted my apology. It was genuine, but I do want to talk about the Marge of it all. Like, I do want to talk about the way Margaret didn't also care about how you would feel reading those text messages. Like, that wasn't nice. Not only what she did to me, but also the impact it would have on you. It was kind of like your collateral damage. And the fact that Margaret's willing to do that, like, how much does she really appreciate you? That's how you fucking approach it. But just only making it about Margaret and that apology. And obviously, granted, I'm sure that conversation lasted a bit more than what we saw. It was obviously an edited conversation. But still, the fact that she said what she said is enough for me to go, she does not mean that apology in the slightest. And I think it impacts the way Dolores accepted that apology. It didn't come off genuine. It didn't come off real. It came like she was trying to brush it under the rug and not own up to it. It really did. And then, oh, I hate when people in apologies are like, you know how much that upset me that this happened. It's like, you are the perpetrator, not the victim. Let's make that very fucking clear. You are the perpetrator, not the victim. If you had never said that about Dolores, Margaret would have never had a text message to send. So fucking own it, you know? So yeah, if I was Dolores, I'd be like, we're not friends. And it's Dolores said in her confessional, no love lost. I don't think we ever really saw a good relationship between Jackie and Dolores. So it doesn't feel like a big issue to me, at least. But I do love Dolores activated. And then we move on to Danielle versus to me, when it starts, okay, before I get to the physical aspect of it, when it starts off and they're talking about the charity event and they're talking about the hairstylist and the glam and whatever it may be, the whole thing seemed like a massive miscommunication and misinterpretation of each other's intentions. None of us were there. None of us were able to tell how Danielle did what she did, what she said, what tone she was saying it in. So, of course, we're seeing their confessionals breaking down their side of the story. And it's kind of hard to fully pick a side, in my opinion. I do agree with Jen that you should be paying for the event out of pocket. I do personally agree with that. And let's say it's based on ticket sales, I would assume. You're using a portion of that ticket sales to pay for the event. Number one, I never saw the flyers for the event or anything. That should be included in the advertisement. Like, when you're purchasing a ticket, by the way, X amount will go to the charity, a portion of it. Because personally, if I'm buying a ticket to go see the New Jersey women in person, and let's say it's $50, and I know this is being raised for charity, I'm assuming those $50 are going to the charity. Like, I'm assuming I just donated $50, and in exchange of that, I get to be at this event and eat this food and do XYZ. That's my personal opinion on it. I don't have extensive amount of experience with charities, but I do know events that I've been to and stuff have been paid for out of pocket, or the vendors offer to be there because they also want to do a good deed, et cetera, et cetera. But I've never been to an event that I know of where the ticket sales are going to also putting up the event. And I find it really tone deaf that Danielle said, I can't necessarily afford that. We saw the amount of money she put towards her husband's party, which, by the way, was beautiful, and as you should. But let's not start. The baby violin isn't going to make an appearance now. You're saying I'm not rich enough to be able to pay for that. Then do a different type of event. Do a different style of an event that you can pay out of pocket, and you can have people there, and then you donate all that money to charity. I would like to hear Dolores' opinion on this, because as we know, she's someone who's done a lot of charity events particularly on camera. So I want to see her take on it. It's my opinion and my experience on it. I don't know, but I did hear Jen out on that. But I don't think the way Jen approached it came off genuine. Like, I don't think she really cared about the charity. Like, I think she cares about the principle of you did something bad and I'm going to pull you out on it and I'm going to embarrass you. Instead of being like, hey, I don't know if you have a lot of experience in charities, but I think next time you do it, by the way, you should make sure that you're paying it out of pocket and not taking any donations and stuff away from the charity. That's how you approach it if you actually respect or care for that person. The way Jen approached it was dirty. It was just as dirty as Danielle. They're both dirty. They're both dirtbags. And I think they're both fame hungry as fuck. But anyways. And then it comes to the other issue where Jennifer was like, I also had something else rub me the wrong way. And Danielle was like, fucking say it. Then we have the hair thing. I do understand Danielle being like, I don't think she knew what she was getting involved in. And her hair girls were probably going to get mad at that. And it was going to be a miscommunication and an issue that didn't need to be. So I just wanted to clarify with her that's what was happening. The way Jennifer seemed to have interpreted it was not in the tone that Danielle said she said it in. Once again, this is an off-camera discussion. We unfortunately can't judge the situation because I can see Jennifer's interpretation and I can see the way Danielle was allegedly intending to say it in. So it was just a miscommunication, but I don't think Jennifer likes her and I don't think Jennifer wants to like her. And the way she called her out in the confessional, Jennifer saying, well, I think she's tacky, XYZ, it says a lot. So I just think Jennifer's trying to find any excuse not to like her. I wonder why. I wonder if it's something off camera. I wonder if it's a dynamic thing. I wonder if it's Danielle's actually an asshole. I'm not really valuing Jennifer's judge of character, personally. If Dolores had something to say about this and was there for something, we're having a different conversation. But Jenna, girl, I don't know about that one. Then we have the actual fight happen. I do think Danielle did step up to Jennifer, which is aggressive, and you shouldn't do it unless you're willing to get hit. That's my take on it. Someone who's been in a physical fight or two in her day, that's my take on it. And I don't think Jennifer should have shoved. That's when you really crossed the line. That's when you fucked yourself. But because realistically speaking, Jennifer could have walked away when Danielle walked up on her. She could have walked away. And she didn't. She shoved her. And the moment you put your hands on someone, the lines are blurred. The lines are completely blurred. You fucked yourself over. We're in danger territory. Because for me, and you see Teresa say, if someone puts their hands on me, you're gonna get something back for sure. Unless I'm super calm, which I'm probably not if we're yelling at each other. So I understand Danielle. I think both of them are wrong. I really do. But if someone's more wrong, Jennifer putting her hands on someone is more wrong. But damn, the glass. Ooh, and it was so swift. She didn't even bat an eyelid doing it. And you know what the crazier part of it all? Jennifer did not seem shaken up at all. Maybe a little shaken up, but not shaken up at all. And it makes me wonder if she just went into like survival mode almost. Like just her natural instincts kicked in and we're like, I'm going to be okay right now because I don't want to give it energy. I don't know. I guess we'll see next episode if we see some type of fallback from it because having someone hit a glass against your head is a scary, jarring moment. And everyone was going to react different to it. But I did think Jennifer just not being shaken up at all was shocking. And then you have Danielle crying in the car and her husband. And I really didn't like her commentary. I didn't appreciate her being like, she wants what I have. She wants to be me. She'll never be me. She's in a bad place. She must be XYZ. To me, it didn't come from a place of compassion. It kind of came off like she had a really fucking big ego. And I understand, the whole rhetoric of, oh, that person's probably acting that way because they're jealous of you. that shouldn't big you up. That should be like, oh damn, like that sucks that person feels that way. Like it sucks that they feel the need to do that. Like compassion, not being like, they want to be me, they want my life. Oh my God, I'm so cool. That's ego, that's narcissism, that's not a cute look. And although I understand that Danielle was in a really riled up moment and really emotional and what all over the place, I hated that. I really did hate that. So I'm excited to see how next episode starts off and what the dynamics will be within the women and how they recover from this or don't, and whose side people take, if they take any. I mean, none of them have seen the footage until now, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, that was a great episode from Jersey. I really appreciated it. The women are bringing it. We'll see if that's our peak. We'll see if it gets better. It could definitely get worse. That's for sure. Okay, but now let's move on to the Real Housewives of Dubai. Let's just talk about Sergio and Caroline. Oh my God, that fight in the house was a lot. It was a lot. And I think one of the things about Housewives is that we're seeing people in some of their most vulnerable moments. And I'm sure if I had a camera watching me when I was fighting with a friend or my mom or my brothers or whatever, they would be like, you people are fucking nuts, you know? So I'm careful not to fully judge a marriage based off of one scene. But Sergio's a Spanish guy. Like he's gonna have this machismo within him, whether it's a day-to-day thing or not. Like it came out, I am the man of the household. You don't act like it. I'm sorry. You don't act like it. I was going to kill him. If he asked her more and more questions while she had made it very clear she was doing something on her phone, I was personally ready to murder him. And who knows, maybe he watches that scene back and goes, yeah, I was being annoying. I was being a little annoying. I hadn't realized it. I hadn't fully listened to her when she had said that. I didn't really get it in the moment because I was hyper fixated on what we were going to do with the bags. I didn't hear her. I'm sure I've had annoying moments too. You know what I mean? But then when Michael walks in and is like, you motherfuckers are not screaming on camera in my household. It ain't happening. And he gets involved. Sergio gets upset of like, you're talking to him and not me. I'm the husband. I'm the man of the household. First of all, everything she had said to Michael, she had already said to Sergio. He just didn't listen to it. Now he was listening because there's another man in the room who, by the way, is gay. It's like, why are you saying husband, husband? It was just weird. The whole thing was weird. It was uncomfortable to watch. Sergio was annoying. I also don't think it's a good idea for him to be talking about her children, Yasmin, and etc., and their relationship the way that he is on camera. It's giving he wants to be a housewife. And listen, I like whatever Caroline likes, but I didn't love that. And then I'm not going to go in chronological order here, but I think speaking of Sergio and Caroline, we have that issue that happens at the end of the episode that Talene approaches Caroline, which once again, hats off to Talene. She is a class act in the way that she's handling herself and the conflicts that she's in. She pulled Caroline to the side. She said, I'm not going to make this a table conversation, but we need to talk about it, especially because her and her husband had talked about it. She kind of needed to do it for the show, I think. And she said, but I'm not going to do it at the table. I'll have a side chat, but it's not going to be disrespectful. And I think Caroline appreciated that. And I think that's what's going to really help forge a solid relationship between the two. As we've already seen on Watch What Happens Live, it seems like they have a very solid friendship right now. So I'm not surprised by that, especially on how that scene went, because Caroline also opened up to Talene. I was expecting the Englishness of Caroline Stanbury to pop up and be like very dismissive of it, or being like, I'm not talking about it, or, oh, I'm sure he was just saying it because, Sergio gets emotional. She really opened up and interacted with that conversation and gave her side of things and was explaining how her daughter, being like, listen, she's a 17-year-old girl. Her and I have the same sense of humor. I've made it clear to her that her humor is not always appropriate with Sergio, but there's only so much I can do. She really did have that conversation with Talene and opened up in a way that I really was not expecting. And I really appreciate it. I loved her confessional moment. I don't think people understand Caroline's humor or even just like who she is as a person, because I was cracking up when she says, I see 10 to 15 years. Like, it's funny. And I think it's meant to be a little tongue in cheek. But also, I think if you look at it deeper and maybe not as like from a comical lens, I do think it's a defense mechanism. I think especially in the last relationship that she had, where her husband was so focused on him and his goals and what he wanted. And I don't think we ever really knew why they divorced, but you can just tell that was kind of the dynamic in the relationship, which, by the way, doesn't make him a bad guy or anything. But I think that was the dynamic. And I think Caroline is prepped to, maybe as Sergio gets older, he kind of turns in that type of man who's more focused on him and what he wants and his life and his goals. And maybe when he grows up, it won't, not grows up, that was a little condescending, but maybe as he gets older, he doesn't prioritize the same things. And I think Caroline is using it as a defense mechanism, saying the 10 to 15 years. I don't think she wants that. I think her making the comment of like, if he wants to go, go. First of all, is having self-respect. I know Talene was like, you guys just got married. Like, that's not what you should be saying. But once again, I do think it's a defense mechanism. And I don't think she really means it. I don't think that's what she wants. But I think she's an older woman with a younger guy. And she's like, if you can't handle it, love you. I don't want you to leave, but I'm also not going to put up with you not being able to handle it. I think that's kind of where she was coming from. And listen, I love it. I mean, she talks about being divorced and she has that podcast and she's talked about what it's like dating again and all the highs and lows about it. So I do think her stances on this are fair. I don't think they're cause for concern. And I appreciate her sense of humor. I appreciate her honesty. And I think her takes are important. Like, I think women should be like, if you can't handle me and my family and being XYZ, you need to be able to go. You need to be able to leave. Because if not, it's going to be a problem for all of us. And that's a very fair take. I think that's a very healthy take. I don't think Caroline will actually, in reality, ever it be that easy for her. I don't think she's saying I wouldn't care. But she's like, wouldn't be able to stop him. Why would I want to? So, you know. And then what else happened that episode? I really liked the moment we get of the trio, which does not last long, of Lisa Milan, Chanel Ayan, and Caroline Stanbury. I love those three together. I love their humor. I love their dynamic. I feel light and airy when their scenes are on, and it feels real and feels like three boss bitches in a room together. So it's really sad that this doesn't last. It's really sad to me. But I guess we're going to find out why, how, etc. But it is sad. I do want to know how old Chanel Ayan is. I don't think she's older than Caroline Stanbury. That's for sure. And then the rest of the episode, we get to know Talene a little bit more. We had that issue between Talene and Lisa Milan at dinner, which was so bizarre to me. That was so bizarre. Like, they both, like, I was like, what just happened? Like, I got bamboozled. I was like, are they fighting? Why are they fighting? Also, Lisa Milan was, like, being a bit aggressive about, like, what were you two talking about? And maybe went in a little too hard. I understood her curiosity. I think I would have the same. But I think once Talene was like, no, don't worry about it. I also don't think Talene knew what to say, in fairness. But she was like, just a side comment, like, it's all good. Because then if she said what they talked about, then it would defeat the purpose of pulling her to the side. But I did understand Lisa Milan's curiosity. But then it just, like, escalated. And I don't appreciate Lisa Milan calling her a bitch and saying bitchy. Not that I have any issues with either of those words being used. But I think when Talene said, hey, don't say that. Don't call me that. Like, put your fucking gun down. And Lisa Milan not backing up to me was like, girl, not cool. If a woman is saying, please don't call me that, and please don't say that about me, unless you're trying to really have fucking problems with her, don't. And then you have Lisa Milan in her confessional saying, I don't know why she's bigging up Stanbury and having this relationship with Stanbury if she knows Brooks and her are having this issue. I'm like, well, she's new to the show. What is she going to do? Not forge relationships with other women because one of her friends is having an issue that nobody understands what it's about? Like, that also doesn't make sense. And then I did get annoyed of Lisa Milan being like, she was bigging her up, saying all these nice things about her. It's like, well, you guys all had to go around the table and say nice things about each other. And it started like Stanbury and Talene were the only ones left. So that's kind of like how it works. I don't know what I'm thinking about Saba. She's kind of rubbing me the wrong way. Mainly the comments she made about Chanel Ayan being like, she's too much. Like, she's a lot. She couldn't even like control her facial expressions. I was like, that's so mean, girl. That's so mean, girl. And being like, those type of people aren't for me. Like, what, confident women who do what they want without giving a fuck what you think? That's not for you. Her whole energy comes off elitist. And I don't know if it's the accent, but I'm like, it's coming off elitist. It really is. And I don't like it at all. I don't appreciate it. Also, speaking of English accents, I have to say something. And it kind of bugs me. And I don't know if I'm wrong about it. But it's not Caroline Stanbury. It's Stanbury. Brie, as in like, obviously it's spelled Bury, but it's pronounced like the cheese, like Brie. Brie. Different than Stanbury. And listen, I had to learn that the hard way when I moved to the UK. So whatever, I don't judge. But I'm like, it's not Stanbury, it's Stanbury. But I might be wrong. I don't know. Caroline can tell me if I'm right or wrong on that pronunciation. She probably doesn't care, but I'm just like, can we clarify? Can we clarify for everyone, please? But yeah, Dubai's killing it. Dubai's killing it. So we'll see what happens. Now let's do a little bit of Below Deck. I'm not going to fully recap, but I'm really enjoying this season. I love Aisha as Chief Stew. I will die for that girl. I would literally die for her. She is such an angel on earth. She is so sweet. She's such a good leader. She's such a hard worker. And I love that we get to see this type of progression. I think it's one of the great things about Below Deck, although they're always changing people kind of on a more consistent basis. You do get to see growth among the people that do come back. And I love to see it. I think she's so sweet. I love seeing her relationship. And she's stable and fun and has become such a professional. Not that she wasn't before, but I'm really impressed by her. The chef doesn't look like he's going to last long. Really doesn't look like he's going to last long. I'm not going to lie. If I got those meals while I was on a super yacht, I would also be like, can we spice it up, please? Can we not do a chicken that I can make at home? Please? You know, you spent thousands and thousands of dollars to be there. So also the dessert looked like shit. Sorry. But it did. You know, we can't lie about that. Maybe it tasted good, but no, I mean, the melted ice cream like doesn't usually taste good unless I can be at home by myself being a little pig and like slurp it off the plate. But not good. I don't think he's gonna last. I don't think he's prepped for this. And he's not gonna be able to handle himself. Then who else do we have? Ian, the bosun, also not prepped. I don't know if he's not gonna last. But I think Sandy will rewatch or watch the show and be like, I don't know if I want him back. Because he just is not a leader. You see it in the scene. Sandy's like, you can go help them set up the beach picnic, but then you have to come back. He didn't help them at all. He was just so laissez-faire about the whole thing. Like setting up the games. He's like, oh, the primary said she'll do it. He doesn't seem to care. And then I feel bad for the other three. You can tell they really get along. They really like each other, so they're kind of in the trenches together, and I appreciate that attitude, and I appreciate that perspective because it kept them all, I think, a bit grounded and just being like, we're going to bitch, but we just got to keep working. And I liked the way Aisha communicated with him. It doesn't seem like he was willing to take any sense of ownership of the way that picnic went and the fact that they didn't get warning, he didn't get called. And then he's also lying. I don't like liars. Aisha asked, when can the guests go? Like, they're kind of ready to go. When can they go? He's like, oh, 5 minutes. That's the point where you go, hey, guys, the guests kind of want to leave right now. How fast do you think you can set something up? for when they get there. Like, that's when leadership, communication, and teamwork happen. But him being like, sorry, they were all waiting for me. I didn't know they were waiting for me, so I had to go. That's not true. That's just not true. And then the fact that Gail is the one who did all the games and stuff. I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of the whole thing. But the dynamic is fun. They're all hooking up with each other. They're competing over guys. That's cute. Gail's cheating on her boyfriend. I forgot what the guy's name was, but with the Irish boy. They're cute. They're acting like we don't know what a strawberry is, which I find that so endearing. I know. I do love that is obviously their first season on the show. I don't know if they've ever watched the show, but the cameras will find you. You will not be able to get away with much. And the fact that they thought they could outsmart the cameras and the crew and the video, it was so fun. Watching her get caught was hysterical. But then, I mean, I know Aisha said something on Watch It Happens Live, like, you should hear the way her boyfriend speaks to her, then you would understand why she is kind of down to cheat. He's an asshole. So, you know what? I support women's rights, and I support women's wrongs. I do. She's a beautiful girl, though, so she probably just needs to break up with him. Quite honestly, I think if you're cheating, you should just break up. Especially if you're going to be on a boat with someone that you want to cheat with for 6 weeks. Just break up because you don't like that person enough. You know, but she also seems a bit younger and a bit more naive, so she'll learn. She'll learn, and if she doesn't, whatever. And in the meantime, I'm enjoying watching it. So who am I to complain? Big fan of Below Deck Med right now. It's providing drama. And then we'll see what happens with the other stews. It's going to be fun and funny. And I love how Bree's super sensitive and dramatic, which will make it really unhinged. And I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, I think that's where we'll end it. It was a good week. I'm satisfied enough, but I'm really excited for OC to come back. That will be really fun. And it'll give us another Housewives show. But like, when Southern Charm coming back? When are all I need them back? Like, they need to be filming more. And then it makes me nervous because I know so many shows right now are on like hiatus or pause or whatever it's called. And I know that means the future me will have less shows to be watching. And I don't know if I can handle that. So thoughts and prayers. But anyways, thank you all for joining me on this week's episode of That's My Opinion Pod. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. Next week, I'll be freaking vacationing in Norway. So yeah. But anyways, thank you. Bye.